Most people wait until they feel ready. That's exactly why they never succeed. Because success doesn't start with motivation, it starts with doing what you hate. This story isn't comfortable, but it works. In a small, quiet town, there lived a young man named Daniel. His life was a predictable loop. He worked in a quiet fabric store, spending his days folding cloth, greeting customers with a polite but distant smile, and then going home. Every day looked the same as the one before it. People in town, seeing a spark in him that he refused to acknowledge, often told him, "You could be so much more than this." Daniel. He would just smile, a practiced empty gesture, and do absolutely nothing. He stayed within the lines, within the comfortable walls of his routine, never daring to step outside. The thing is, Daniel didn't lack dreams. He had plenty of them, tucked away in the back of his mind. He lacked the willingness to face the discomfort that came with them. He wanted the success, the achievement, the feeling of accomplishment, but he didn't want the messy, uncomfortable parts that were required to get there. He actively avoided the very things that would lead him to his goals. Waking up early when his bed was warm, the hard, frustrating process of learning something new, the stinging fear of being judged by others, and the public humiliation of failing in front of everyone. So he told himself he was just waiting for the right moment. Waiting for a surge of confidence to arrive and carry him forward. Of course, it never did. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you build, brick by painful brick. Then, one gray afternoon, the bell above the shop door chimed, and an old man entered the store. He didn't browse the fabrics. He just stood there, looking at Daniel, his gaze lasting a little longer than what was comfortable. After a moment of silence that felt heavy in the air, the old man spoke, his voice raspy but clear. "Everyone wants the result," he said, his eyes fixed on Daniel. "Very few are willing to accept the price," and with that he turned and left, the bell chiming his exit. The words didn't leave with him. They stayed, echoing in Daniel's mind, precisely because they were so sharp, so unpleasant, and so true. They poked at the comfortable illusion he had built around himself. That night, sleep wouldn't come. Daniel lay awake, the old man's words replaying over and over. For the first time, he stopped asking himself the question that had guided his entire life. What do I feel like doing? It was a useless question, a compass that always pointed toward comfort and stagnation. Instead, a new, much harder question took its place. He asked himself, what am I avoiding the most? The answer came instantly, a flash of clarity that was both illuminating and terrifying. He saw a list of his deepest fears and insecurities, all the things he had skillfully dodged for years. And the raw honesty of it scared him more than anything he had ever admitted to himself before. The next morning, Daniel woke up a different person. Fueled not by confidence, but by a strange, reckless desperation. He made a series of decisions that went against every instinct he had. He went online and signed up for a notoriously difficult course in a field he knew nothing about. He polished his old, neglected resume and applied for a role he felt completely unqualified for, a job that would force him to lead and make decisions. He unearthed a creative project he had postponed for years, a project he had always told himself he'd start someday. He wasn't ready. He wasn't confident. He certainly wasn't comfortable. It felt like jumping off a cliff. He had trapped himself in action, on purpose. There was no going back now. He had committed, and the only way out was through. The days that followed were heavy, filled with a sense of dread. Everything felt wrong. The course material was confusing, the job application felt fraudulent, and the creative project seemed impossibly large. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to quit, to run back to the familiar comfort of the fabric store, to the safety of his old life. He wanted to quit more than anything. But something strange happened in the midst of that struggle. Because he couldn't run away, he stopped running. The work itself didn't magically become easier. The challenges didn't disappear, but he became stronger. The weight he was carrying was the same, but his capacity to carry it grew. He was changing from the inside out. Success didn't arrive like a lightning strike. There was no grand cinematic moment of victory. It arrived quietly, almost unnoticed. It was a small win, like finally understanding a difficult concept in his course. It was a new skill, learned through hours of frustrating practice. It was a flicker of genuine confidence, a feeling he had never known before, born not from wishful thinking, but from actual proof that he could do hard things. All of it, every single piece of his new reality, came from that one, terrifying choice. The choice to do what he hated in order to reach what he wanted. He had paid the price the old man spoke of. In the end, Daniel still felt fear. The anxiety didn't just vanish, but now he moved anyway. The fear was no longer a wall. It was just a shadow that followed him. He had learned the difficult truth that no one likes to hear, the secret that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Don't wait for motivation to find you. It won't. Trap yourself in action. Create a situation where you have no choice but to move forward, because success doesn't reward comfort. It rewards courage. Thank you for joining me for this story. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that inspires.